Chapter 6, Whitebird. That day was a Wednesday, so we had art class first thing in the morning. Every week I looked forward to Wednesday. But as soon as art class came to an end, we had to return from the art room to my least favourite subject, math. It felt incredibly unfair to have my worst class immediately after my best one. I dragged my feet every step of the way, resigned to my fate. To make matters worse, I had purposely left my sketchbook in the art room so I wouldn't be tempted to doodle. Let's review the Pythagorean theorem, said Mademoiselle Petitjean, standing at the board. Pointing at a formula with her chalk, she began to explain. You'll notice that a squared plus b squared. Mademoiselle Petitjean, we all turned to see Pastor Luke, the director of the school, standing in the doorway of the room. Can I have a word with you, please? He asked, his tone urgent. Yes, Pastor Luke. He whispered in her ear. I couldn't hear his words, but I saw him looking around the room as he spoke. He locked eyes with me for a split second, his brow furrowed. I glanced over at Marianne. Her expression told me she was getting the same feeling I was. Something was wrong. When Pastor Luke left, Mademoiselle Petitjean turned to face us. She seemed frustrated yet determined. Children, I have to leave for a few moments, she said. I want you all to behave until I return, okay? Under normal circumstances, an opportunity like this would lead us to some light classroom chaos. We weren't babies, but it was just too tempting to leave our seats and gossip with our friends. But this was clearly from a normal time. Ruth? Sarah? I looked up, surprised to hear my name called. Would you please get your things and come with me? Mademoiselle Petitjean said. Quickly, she added. Me? Why? I asked, exchanging glances with Mariam and Sophie. Why? Echoed Ruth. I'll explain outside. Come, girls, quick, quick. She ushered us into the hall. I heard her call back to the rest of my classmates. The rest of you, stay in your seats until I return. Be good, children. Taking me and Ruth by the hand, she marched us through the hallways and down the stairs. Her tone was brisk and businesslike. There's a roundup of Jews in Aubervilliers-du-Bois, she informed us. Au Bois. The Nazis are on their way here to get the children. The Maquisards are going to take you and the other Jewish children to hide in the woods. Maquisard? Roundup? Nazis? The word ran in circles as what she was saying began to register. I knew the Maquisards were members of the Maquis, a French underground that were resisting the Germans. The Nazis were coming here for us? There he is, cried Mademoiselle Petitjean when we reached the ground floor. Let's hurry. Then she looked at me and her expression suddenly changed. But Sarah, where is your coat? I left it in the art room this morning, I confessed. At the time, I'd assumed I would swing by to collect my sketchbook and coat before heading home. I'm sorry, I added. It's okay, she said, though she looked concerned. Quickly she undid her yellow scarf. Here, take this, she said, looping it around my neck. It will keep you warm. I was grateful for her kind gesture and also overwhelmed. Everything was happening so fast. I'm scared, I whispered as she pulled the scarf tightly around me. Mademoiselle Petitjean leaned in, her face inches from mine. I know, but you're going to be all right, she told me. Just remember, you're not alone. Okay, I said, trying to match my tone to hers. As we left the school, a chilly breeze made me look up. Tiny flakes of snow were falling from the sky. They landed on my bare arms and Ruth's winter coat. Other teachers joined us in the courtyard, leading their students too. I saw Nathan, Daniel, Rebecca, Saul, and several other kids. Saul was only 6, and Rebecca was 15, and it looked like there were about 12 of us, all grades and ages. We gathered around Pastor Luke and the Maquisard, who was standing under the gated archway. The Maquisard was a tall, lanky young man dressed in grey and drab olive clothing, including a grey wool cap. Over his shoulder was a long rifle, the barrel pointed at the sky. Children, pay close attention, Pastor Luke instructed us. You have to be quiet and run fast, the Maquisard told us. Can you run fast? Yes, a boy said, standing near me. Yes, agreed Rebecca. Very fast, piped up Saul. This was debatable, as he was the littlest boy, but no one argued with him. I stood silently, feeling cold, but also numb. How could this be happening? I wanted to ask. Don't the Nazis know our village is in the free zone? With a shudder, I remembered what Papa had said. There is no more free zone. We had no time for goodbyes. When the Maquisard started running towards the wood, everyone followed him. Everyone except me. Instead, I stood like a statue. There was a flurry of activity as the students started to catch up with the Maquisard. Meanwhile, Pastor Luke and the teacher stood off to one side, huddled together in a hushed conversation. Keeping one eye on them, I quietly began walking backwards. Silently, I slipped inside the school building, hoping no one would notice me. And as soon as I got to the staircase, I bolted up it. I ran to the bell tower and climbed higher to the belfry. It wasn't really a conscious choice. I just wanted to get as far away as possible and hide until the threat was over. On some level, I suppose I was thinking about the fact that the bell hadn't worked for years. No one ever went up to the belfry. So many thoughts ran through my head as I sat there, hiding. I felt guilty for leaving the others. I wondered about the maquisard. Who was he? How did he know what to do and where to go? He didn't look much older than some of the students at our school. As I glanced down, my stylish red shoes caught my eye. If I ruined those gorgeous shoes by running around in the woods in them, I would be devastated, and my parents would be furious with me. I sat there shivering and waiting for someone to come up and tell me that the situation had been resolved, that there had been a misunderstanding, that the threat was over, that it was time to go home. None of these things happened. Instead, the Nazis came.